B mark. See it?
Not only a third of it. There you go. You're good.
And you still see it on this side?
But yeah.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, that wasn't really a professional remark.
Okay, cool. All right, Brian. So the stuff I want to start with,
Coffee?
well, I have mine. I want to talk about your background, where you came from, and we will start off by going into, from there into like what was Des Moines like in those early days. So, are you from Des Moines originally?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about growing up in Des Moines as a kid.
Well, I was adopted. I wasn't always an alcoholic. Sorry. I was adopted in West Des Moines. Pretty sheltered as far as music goes. I was like Michael Jackson and Prince and crap like that. Didn't start getting into good music until high school, I guess.
Talk about your. I'd love to hear about your childhood and like your adopted family and.
I was Catholic, and I got the bad touch a couple times. It wasn't a teacher; it was a priest. No, I'm
Holy shit, Brian! You are lying to me right now.
totally. I went to Catholic school, my whole life until they kicked me out in high school. Then I became a mall rat, and that's where I started to find out about music.
What was it like being a mall rat? What year is this when all this was going on?
Like 90, 91, 92. Only reason I was a mall rat because there was nothing for kids to do, anywhere for kids to go or anything like that, to hear music or anything.
What mall were you at?
Valley West, I was a Valley West mall rat.
So talk about Valley West Mall. It sounds like this was ended up being pivotal.
Okay. Fridays it was a red light special. Go to Claire's, get some free earrings. Actually, that's where I met Davo first. Was at Valley West Mall. He'll tell you about that. I thought he was like some sort of child molester or something like that. So I was kicked out of the mall. I was across the street with Aaron Harvey, and Davo pulls up in his car. And then Davo asked us to get in his car. And I thought, no, that's a bad sign, but we did. I got in the back and I couldn't get out of the car. He got in and the door locked. I'm like, fuck, we're screwed now. But then we went to a football game or something like that. What was the question again?
Well, I'm trying to get a good picture of like what those early days were like. Who was your friends? Who was the crew you ran around with, and how did you discover punk rock?
Okay, I discovered punk rock through Pat, and I met him through the mall kind of too.
Pat who?
Oh, Pat Douglas. He's the music genius. And him and I got together and we started playing music together, and we tried to get Davo to notice us, and we tried out for Davo to be the singer. Davo, he was great at getting stuff done, like organizing shit. But he didn't like the way Pat played guitar. But Pat and I would play like Stiff Little Fingers, the Germs, shit like that, covers of them. And the Damned. And Davo came over a few times and kind of checked us out, but didn't quite like it. It wasn't until later on when Davo and a guy named Jay Brummett, who now lives in Texas, started a band called Psycho Girl. It was Naked Lady Mudflaps, but it was changed to Psycho Girl. And then we started playing. We never played out, and then that's how we met Paul, I believe. And we always had the worst time finding drummers. We find, like, I'd get off work and some guy, oh, I can play drums. So he comes over, sits behind the drums and asks us to give him a sheet music for it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing sheet music? Just the worst time with drummers. And then we found some younger guy named Scott, I believe, and he was drummer for us. And then last minute we found, Davo found Butch, or Greg, down at 2nd Avenue Foundry, I believe. I was after Harry Mary's.
Can you say Greg's last name?
Welts.
Greg, can you just give me a statement that said that his name was Greg Welts?
Greg Welts. W-E-L-T.
What was his story?
He liked little girls.
It's not a story.
And our one song, We have a song that talks about Butch being, or Craig, liking girls that are underage. I don't remember which song it was, but yeah. Greg quit the band a couple times, I think, but he always came back. And when he quit, we'd either find another drummer, which was hard to do, and then like we had one drummer who was in a band called Mud Pants, and I think Paul found him, brought him over. He started drumming for us, and then later on, Paul didn't like him anymore. Or got in a fight with him, so they came to me and said, "Up, fire the guy, get rid of him." Why the hell was I put in charge of that? I don't know. But they'll blame me for it. It wasn't my fault. Where was I at?
I'm gonna make one quick adjustment with this mic, just to have a second.
Line?
No,
Line?
the one above you that you don't see. I'm just gonna point it more
Or
toward-
picking up that noise, Christian.
What noise is it?
The hand.
Oh,
Cigarette.
Oh, yeah. I
I
know.
can't move now. I can't move at
It's not.
The mic is so strong.
Yeah, and then the thing it's gonna be hard to cut together because it's so consistent.
You talking about the sound of not getting coffee, or
It's the sound of tap tap tap, soft tap. So, I mean, how did you guys find music in 1991 Des Moines?
basically, I'd say Pat, because Pat knows like collected music and knew all about music. Devo was more like South California punk rock, so he knew about that stuff. But Pat knew about all kinds of music, all kinds of genres, stuff. So, like the mall days, we'd all come over to my house and get stoned in the basement, and that's when we'd listen to music. Pat would put on some records or something, and we'd get influenced that way. Yeah.
Could you describe, like, if you were taking us into your basement in 1991, walk us in there.
Okay, it smelled like old beer and sin. It's my parents' house, but my parents didn't fuck with us because I had them on a good leash. And they'd all come over, just park in the outside, in the driveway, in the yard, and they'd come down the stairs. And they'd first walk into a big open area, which we had a big screen TV, stereo. And then if you leave that area, you go underneath the garage, which is like a 3-car garage, which is all cement walls, cement ceiling. That was the practice area, so we had drum sets, and we had guitar amps, bass amps, all kinds of music stuff in there. And we could play anytime we wanted, late at night, whenever. That's what was so great about it. Nobody complained about it. My parents sure in hell didn't complain because the leash. That's the same basement where like all these bands would come stay too, because Dave would like get them to come play here, and he'd like, oh, we'll set you up with food and places to stay. I didn't know this, but Dave was like, hey, you need a band to stay somewhere, so they'd come over to my house and stay. I tried making a list of all the bands that stayed there. I couldn't do it.
Well, what was the venue that David was booking for back then?
Safari Club.
So 1991, he was booking for Safari Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, this is before Sean Crayon owned it.
Yeah. Tony. Oh, he's somewhere from Africa. Tony's a really nice guy. He had the Safari Club, and it was more of a Rasta kind of bar. That's the only kind of music that played there. And Davo came in and asked Tony if he could book some bands, and they were punk rock. So that's how that whole started. We had more and more fucking punk rock bands play. We had all ages shows. And then pretty soon, the Rasta stuff was just out. It was all punk rock. And then Sean ended up buying the bar.
What year did he buy the bar?
I don't remember what year that was. Maybe it was 95 or...
So this is
96.
getting into Slipknot era.
Right. So maybe it was 97, maybe. He didn't have it very long. He had maybe a year. And then this other guy bought it. I can't remember his name. David would remember his name because David didn't like
Well,
it.
so like where did you guys?
Hey, Christian, do we want to do anything about the cigarette, just so we don't? You
Yeah.
don't want to have to
Yeah.
re-record. Sorry.
No, that's cool. Can I smoke it or no?
You can smoke it. I just don't want you to
Tap it?
Tap it.
Because
Yeah.
in the edit, it'll
It won't make like you will hear it and it'll be kind of weird.
It's Morse code though.
You can smoke it. I don't care.
Hey Christian, also let's check where the mic placement is. I'm getting a little bit of a read from like it rubbing on his shirt.
I mean, because it's going to be in the shot on his leg potentially, or maybe it's not.
I don't think it's in the shot. But can I see where the mic? Where'd you tape the mic at? Right,
I'd rather not say.
right there. So actually, if you just pull your shirt just a hair. There you go. We'll try it there. No, just yeah. It was just if it was on it. So like, where all did you guys see shows back then? Did you go to the Runway?
Yeah, I guess a runway, but runway has certain type of people who went there. It's mostly heavy metal people that went there. Runway. It wasn't that great, but Safari Club was the best. I thought that's mainly where we would go see music. Or there was Z International downtown, or Java Joe's.
Java Joe's used to do shows.
Not like punk rock shows. Davo had this guy come stay at my house for some reason. His name was Oscar Meyer. He was from California. He was a truck driver, but he did poetry. And he did some poetry stuff down at Java Joe's, and somehow I got in charge of going down there with him, and it was just stupid. And then Greg or Paul got in a fight with Oscar Meyer, and so we kicked him out of town, and he was staying in my house, and then he was gone. Maybe got in trouble for sleep with underage girls or something.
That seems to be consistent with a lot of your friends.
What?
The sleeping with underage girls.
I know, it's crazy, because I never did.
So what about? Let's maybe talk about meeting. Who'd you meet first, Paul or Joey?
Paul.
Okay. Let's talk about the day you met him, or the night you met him. Where was it at? I mean, if it was at a party or a show, if you could describe it to a T for me.
Oh, I can't do it to a T.
Or at least to an H.
Okay, it was a kind of foggy night. A little bit moist. I met him in my basement. Davo brought him over to my basement, and we were having band practice. That's when we tried to Paul out, or I guess we brought Paul over to see if he could work with us, or if he wanted to work with us. And he came over, and he did. No, I met Paul, I think, on Ingersoll. I met him outside. We're going to Big Tomato. It was just really quick. I met him there. Then I met him at my house later on. That's where I met Paul. And then Joey came in afterwards, after we've already played with Paul a couple times. And then Joey came on. Yeah.
So what band was this with that you met Paul, that he came over and auditioned for you?
I believe this was when Psycho Girl. We played with Jay Brummett. He was our guitar player. And we never played out or anything like that. It was just me, Davo, Jay, and then the Scott kid who was drummer. Young kid. Yeah, I believe that was it. And Butch didn't come on until Butch was there before Paul. We had Butch, and then we had Paul, I believe, and then Joey.
How long had Paul been in Iowa at that point?
I'm not sure. I want to say, when did Paul get here? Do you know even?
It was 91.
Okay. Well, I didn't meet Paul until like 95, 96. 95, I think.
Did he have a reputation yet, or how did they?
I didn't know Paul. Maybe he did at the Runway. Maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, he started, I guess, hanging out with heavy metal players, I guess. But he loved punk rock from California.
So when he came over to practice, like, do you remember that day that he auditioned for you guys?
It wasn't like he auditioned for us, like we auditioned for him. It's like he came over to see if we were good enough to him to play with. So, yeah. And I believe it was at night. Yeah. Really didn't take much. It's just a quick, like maybe we played a song, and then he was like, "Yeah, you can do this."
So does Psycho Girl eventually evolve into the Have-Nots?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who? Can you just run me down like who was in the who was the lineup for Psycho Girl?
Psycho Girl was me and Davo, Jay Brummett, and then drummer would have to be the Scott guy we had. I can't remember what his last name was, but he was younger than us, Scott. And then Butch came along after that. And then Ball.
Let's talk about Butch for a minute. How did you first hear about it? Well, just first up, did Davo bring all these guys in?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So did he ever like pitch to you like, "Hey, I got this guy. I just met him here." They
Nope.
just they
He
just
said, "Hey, this is gonna the way it's gonna be. Got a new drummer here. This is our new drummer. This is Paul. This is our guitar player."
Yeah, that's fine. Well, describe Greg Welts to us as if we have never met him before.
Creamy. He was a really nice guy, cool guy. He had a knack back then for just flying off the handle and getting in fights constantly. Like after one of our first shows, we were at an after party and there was this drummer from another band, really nice guy. It was Tom. Threw a bottle at us while we were playing, and Butch remembered that and saw him at this after party and got into a fight with him and kicked the shit out of him. And that was kind of a big thing, I guess. Yeah.
What were the house parties like back then? What was that scene like?
I don't know, it just seemed to be at my house. No one cleaned up after themselves. But everyone just came over and did what they wanted.
How long did Psycho Girl go on until it started to morph into the Have-Nots?
Well, I remember that Davo had a demo tape of Psycho Girl, and he said he had it and he played it for Joey Hollywood, which is a really cool guy. He's dead now. And Joey said, "Yeah, we could play it Second Avenue Foundry, I think, like that," but we never did. And that's when we switched over to the Have-Nots.
What was the Second Avenue Foundry? I just briefly started to hear about it through Nate Carlson, who he was in that
Oh,
band.
Yeah,
Pantheon. He's gonna interview for this too.
Oh yeah.
Because he was the guitar tech for Murder Dolls. I think he works over at Reitman Music.
Or did Jay's CD and Hobby for a while.
What was the Foundry like? Because the first person who mentioned to me was in my phone call with him the other night. I'd never heard of it before.
It's the old Harry Mary's. So once Harry Mary's shut down because of the flood, this guy named Ed, I believe, bought it. I think they were only open for like a year, and then it turned into whatever hamburger place it is now, or bar, restaurant.
So is it the
Not to be authoritarian, do we want to do anything about the gum? Sorry, Brian. Sorry, Brian.
it's cool.
We want to make sure to use anything
you asked?
we can.
That's what
Yeah.
you get.
I think I can chew it or no.
No. Gross.
Can I tap or something? Can
No, we'll pick it up.
Sorry,
If we're gonna do
Brian.
something like what I like. Sometimes I do when I'm nervous. I do this.
That's stupid.
I know.
Sorry, Brian.
No, you guys are.
So the Foundry. So the Foundry was before Harry Mary's, or after Harry?
After Harry Mary's. Well,
so
the first Harry Mary's.
Can you give me a statement that says, "Hey, Harry Mary's closed after the flood of '93"?
Yeah, I believe they did. I was there that night. We were watching a band called The Muffs, and then a friend of ours band called Penis. They opened up for The Muffs, and I remember they shut everything down. Said everyone's got to go. There's a flood, and we all got back in our cars and drove away.
Can you talk for a minute about the flood of '93?
It was wet, very wet. I actually have a can over there from the flood. It's a white can of water that they gave away for people who need water. If you guys want to buy that, I'll sell that too.
Well, I mean, that was really devastating with the flood of '93.
Not so much for me. Like I told you, my dad built his shop above the flood line so he didn't get in trouble. And we were in West Des Moines, so we had all the water we wanted. So like Pat and Jet, another friend of ours, they'd come over to use our shower, and people would always come over to our house because we had water. We didn't care about the other people who didn't have water. We didn't conserve it. We just use it.
So can you just give me a statement that says that Harry Mary's closed because of the floods of '93?
Yeah, they closed because Harry Mary's closed in '93 because of the flood of '93.
We just have to do this for context,
Like, 'cause
descriptive
no one knows
terminology.
what the fuck we're talking
Yeah,
about.
so if we
I
like,
don't know what
if,
you're talking about either. But
yeah, but like saying the names instead of
Because
he or them.
sorry,
they won't
sorry.
hear me. They
Yeah.
won't see me or hear me in this.
if you had cue cards, it'd be a lot easier.
I know.
Sorry, Brian.
I
I
guess
mean,
aren't.
but and there's some historical parts like for example, Frank talked about in California because of Reagan when the drug the meth problem really kicked in, which led to everyone's parents being on methamphetamines or whatever the hell it could be, or when Reagan shut down all of the mental institutions, and how that affected everything because that leads into a lot of this stuff.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't
was
know.
listening.
I don't even know.
Yeah, there was a meth problem here in Iowa. I jumped on board with that too. But then I heard about you doing a documentary about meth, so I thought, all right, I'm going to talk about that. I could tell a story about Paul and the drug thing, which I was going to save for now, but a long time ago I was a chef at Simo's Cafistro in Valley Junction, and one night I was there late, and Davo and Paul came into the restaurant and had an intervention with me, which was kind of weird because Paul died of drugs, and yet he had an intervention with me to get off drugs. So I feel kind of bad about that he didn't take his own advice. So what was the question now?
Well, was it meth?
Yeah.
What made meth such a popular?
You want a recipe? I got a whole thing up.
No, I mean I've already made that movie.
I know.
I already know all that.
What was the question?
What made meth so accessible and like almost like the drug of choice back then?
It was cheap. It was everywhere. I believe in '93, and Rolling Stone claimed that Iowa was the drug capital of the world, and then talked a little bit about that. I don't have the copy of it, but you can do your research and find it. '93, Rolling Stone.
Do you remember the first time you tried meth?
Yeah, I was told it was cocaine, and it wasn't. Oh God!
You wanna?
No, I just peed myself. That's all.
That's not pee.
Let me go grab some paper towels.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I don't know if you want to do anything with that sound thing, Christian. It's up to you.
If it's on the floor, it's fine.
Okay.
Unless I pour coffee on it.
No, that would be bad.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
Hey, don't grab the good towels. There's a batch of. Okay, paper towels will work.
As much about the drug scene at the time, I think will be interesting.
Just dab it around here, Bridget. Thank you.
Should be fine. You got a little on your shoe. It's up to you if you care.
I don't. It's
You can get it.
Oh, that's out of the shot. I
That's
just
all right.
didn't know if you cared.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
There's coffee for everybody.
I'm set.
Peanuts.
So if you can lead into it, like meth was cheap, and you know that's what I heard a lot of people say. Like I actually worked on an episode of Intervention, and I know one of the associate producers had a coke problem, and as soon as our talent said that it was just like a poor man's meth or a poor man's cocaine, she was like, really? You know.
It wasn't, but people told that, and so try it.
I mean, how was it? Was it really easy to get meth back then?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was easy to get meth. It was easy to get any drug, really. Yeah.
So tell me about that experience, the first experience you had smoking meth.
I didn't smoke it. I snorted it, and I thought it was cocaine. So I thought, okay, it isn't so bad. But then I remember going to my dealer and saying, hey, that coke made me stay up really long, and blah blah blah. And they started laughing like, it wasn't coke, it was meth. I'm like, you cunt. But
How long were you up for?
what time is it right now? No. Okay. I don't know. Christ, like my basement You do meth, you could be in there for days and not know it because there's no windows and it's just black. And so that's when we'd be playing a lot of music down there in pitch black, not knowing what time it was or what day it was. But it helped us do music.
How long were you on it?
I guess, I don't know. Almost 24 hours, I guess. I mean, what do you mean?
Like how long were you using before they did the intervention?
Oh, let's see, I started when I was 16 or 17. I remembered it because I did it because I worked more hours to make more money to buy more meth. I was working at French Quarter downtown, Des Moines, a Cajun restaurant. And yeah, so I started that in 91, I think, 91, 92. And then they did the intervention in 97, 98, I think.
So at this point, Slipknot had already started.
Yeah.
Too. Do you remember what Paul and Davo said to you when they had the intervention?
I don't remember word for word, but basically a girl that I was seeing on the side went up to Paul and said, "Hey, guys, need to talk to Dubay because he's using too much drugs." And they came, sat down, said, "Man, you need to cut it out." And I remember I tried to say, "Oh, no, I'm not doing it. And they convinced me I was, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So yeah.
How did you react to them confronting you?
Scared at first. Then kind of sort of sweet, like a nice feeling. Somebody cared. So, yeah.
Can you just say that at first you felt scared?
At first I felt scared.
Perfect. How long after that did you continue to use, or did you?
No, I didn't, because it scared me. I had a great job, a great position, and the fact that Davo has always been kind of a hero to me. I always looked up to Davo. I thought, well, they knew what they were talking about, so I thought I better listen to him because Davo was like a god to me. I thought he was a great person.
Are we hearing the dog snore?
A little bit.
He farted a lot too. Some people hear that.
And
Just
what
a
about
little
paper
bit.
paper towel rustling?
Oh, Jesus.
That's
I know,
okay.
Brian.
I know.
I
Okay,
think
okay.
so far the snores have been well timed between words, so I think you're gonna be able to work around the snores.
Should I wake him up?
No, what do you want to do, Christian? Or
Don't
donkey?
We'll get into that.
He's like soaking in your fake sun and
I
having like the
know.
best day ever.
Thinking that it's real sun, and it's like, this is not warm. I was gonna stick to it because from what I remember, Paul's drug problem didn't get into till he hurt his foot in '99.
Yeah, but there could have been other drug use, different kinds at the time. But
Was there much of a drug use with Paul around that time?
As far as I know, no. He used to talk about how they used to do drugs back in California, but he didn't do any drugs anymore. But then he lived with Butch or Greg for a while. And Greg didn't want anyone to know that we were using drugs. When I first met Butch, he came down the basement where I lived, and I met Butch, and I said, "Hey, kind of on the side, I'm like, hey man, you want to do a line?" And it's like, "Oh yeah." So he ended up staying that night over at my house, and Davo left him there, and we did drugs. But he didn't want Davo and everyone else to know that. We had a unrecorded. We were having practice once, and my friend Dan, who was drunk, came over with a couple people I've never met before, and wanted me to hook him up with some drugs. And so we were having practice. So I kind of just be cool about it, we're having practice. Don't say anything about it. And we're having practice, and Dan comes in like, "Hey, what's her name's on the phone, wants to know how much you want." Well, that really pissed off Butch, and Butch flies off the handle, like I said. And during the recording, you just hear, all that happened, then you hear thunk, thunk. And then, it's which is drumsticks being thrown at Dan, who's at the door, and then Greg running around and kicking the shit out of Dan, and you heard another thunk, and then me throwing the bass down and throwing Butch off of Dan. And we were going to put that on the recording we had on the tape, but we didn't do that.
I mean, besides meth, was there anything else that was being used? And you can just like kind of give me a list. It was like meth. It was.
Well, Davo denies it, but I'm pretty sure he was using suppositories. I still think he does to this day. Actually, he just sticks anything up his ass and he's okay. No, we all smoke pot except for Paul and Davo and Joey. But yeah, pot's great.
When did you meet Joey?
Joey came along after we've had a few practice sessions with Paul. And then Paul thought, maybe we need another guitar player. And he said, hey, I'm bringing Joey on because he's tired of this heavy metal shit. And I wanted to do something different. That's when I met Joey.
And Joey he's already started Slipknot at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see Modifidius perform? I know you weren't into that. You weren't into the metal stuff.
No, I never saw them perform. I really wish I did. No, I don't wish that.
Well, how did you hear about him prior to him joining the band?
No, I never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Okay. Well, let's back up and get into like hearing about Slipknot being put together. Who did you first hear about this project? Because it was sort of like everything was in there, including the kitchen sink. Like everything was in this band. And did you know Sean Cran before Slipknot?
I didn't. He did go to Dowling, where I went to high school. Sean Crane went to Dowling, and I never met him there because he was older than I was. I never met Sean until we were having practice one time, and they brought Sean Crane over, and he was drunk, and they're just showing him where we practice and stuff like that. And that's when he borrowed my 2 Hellraiser graphic novels, so I went back. I never heard of Slipknot until I met Paul and Joey.
And they had already started. They had already
Yeah.
started the band.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you ever heard them perform?
Let's see. Okay. First time I heard him perform is we all went to Ames. I think we went to People's. It was the Torture King was going to be performing. Wasn't the band. He was just a guy that stuck stuff through his body, like knives and stuff. And Slipknot opened him for him. So Slipknot played, and then the Torture King. So me, Paul, Joey, Greg, we're all there for that.
Torture, was that what was the guy's name?
I don't remember what his name was, but
Is
he
it
was
the guy
the
with the
Torture
puzzle
King.
piece? Is it the guy with the puzzle pieces all over him? Was it Enigma?
No, it wasn't Enigma. It was some, I think it was English guy, and he'd walk around in a robe during the show of Slipknot. Just walk around in a robe. He was a nice guy. But no, he put like stuff through his stomach, through his tongue.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, damn it, dog.
Oh.
Maxwell, you're not just embarrassing me, you're embarrassing yourself.
He's living the good life. Oh, buddy.
You might want to check your stuff before you leave because he might shit in your stuff.
I don't know how you fit in there.
Oh, is that going to mess up the sun?
Yeah, he's fixing it.
You're like a god, you can fix the sun.
Actually, it looks like the real sun's starting to come out too.
Da, 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 do, do, do.
Okay.
Is that doing the same thing?
Look towards me. Yeah, it's still there. I think it's fine.
Maybe if you move the peanuts that you guys are supposed to be.
So People's is still around up there, I think, as a venue. What was so you guys drove up there and you saw Slipknot for the first time. Can you describe that performance? I mean, that was, were they wearing the masks? Was it?
Yeah, they were kind of wearing the mask, but it kind of seemed kind of. I never really liked Slipknot back then, or now. So it just seemed like there weren't a lot of people there to see them. They were there to see Torture King. The second time I saw Slipknot play was at the Battle of the Bands here in Des Moines. They played out at Toad Holler and they're the last band to play. Nobody was there. Nobody. That's the first time I met Paul's brother, Tony. But there was no one there for the show. It was pretty funny. Nobody was there to see Slipknot.
What was that battle? Because that was put on by a radio station, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
What do you remember? What radio station it was?
103 maybe?
I don't know if it was Laser doing it back. Who was Sophia John connected to?
I don't know. She was on a radio station here, but then she moved to Omaha to do a radio station up there. But I don't remember who she was with here. But
So back then, the Battle of the Bands was like there's no one does those anymore now.
really,
Yeah, yeah.
that sucks.
Well, can you describe the Battle of the Bands for me?
Oh, some of the finest Iowa's got to offer. Just local bands just all play, and whoever gets the most people to come see them, they win.
Who all do you remember the other bands that played there?
I guess I don't. But it was the Battle of the Bands for that year, so whatever bands were around, they were in the Battle of the Bands. And Slipknot was the last place band.
And no one was there.
Nobody was there. And Toad Holler is a really big place, and there was absolutely nobody there. You could hear crickets.
Did they have any? Did anyone in the band have any commentary about them not having anyone show up?
I don't know. I'm sure they weren't happy about it. And this is before like Mick was in the band too, or Corey.
Do you remember who was part of the lineup?
It was the original band, so Adam, was that Adam, or what would we say the original singer's name
Andy.
was? Andy was a singer. They had a long-haired guitar player before Mick,
Donnie.
and the regular group of Slipknot, I guess. Except for Sid wasn't in it. Mick wasn't in it. Yeah.
So,
Did you get the burp?
I'm sure. Yeah, we got that. We got it. Don't you
Got
worry. So, around what time did Paul say like, "Hey, we're getting tired of this heavy metal stuff. We want to do something. Joey and I want to do something different."
I think it was like 3:25 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess they started getting tired of the Slipknot stuff when we started the Have-Nots. They said they wanted to do something different. They both loved punk rock, or said they did. So.
What year was that?
God. It'd have to be 96, 95. Somewhere between 95 and 96.
And let's talk about the Have-Nots and like who that lineup was.
The original lineup was Davo, Greg Weltz, Paul Gray, Joey Jorgensen, Brian Dubay, and that was it.
If you were to describe the Have-Nots to someone, how would you describe them?
Creamy? I don't know. We called it straight ahead punk rock. So, yeah. Yeah. I can't really describe it as anything else.
Do you remember your first practice?
With everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry with clicking.
And where was it at?
Be my basement. God. I remember Joey knew it right away. Like he was a good musician. He could play anything. But so he caught on it all really fast. Yeah. I think one of the only songs that was original from Naked Lady Mudflaps or Psycho Girl was Reaction. Because I know Jay Brummett wrote that song. He was the original guitar player we had. That's the only one of the songs that we kept, thank God. And yeah.
How many? So,
I don't mean to frustrate you.
no. I'm trying to look for like a good like storytelling moment where you like really very deep. I like overly detailed. So, do you remember your first performance with this lineup and where was it?
The first performance was actually the only one we ever videotaped. but I fucked it up. I wanted to borrow the videotape and show it to my parents, and they live in Arizona. So that tape got eaten by the sun. So that was all destroyed. But it was at Safari Club, and it was when the stage at Safari Club used to be towards the door. I think it was one of our best performances. I was scared out of my mind because I never played out before, and everyone else did. You know, they're all used to it. I remember I played, and I faced the wall the whole fucking time. I just faced the wall. I was scared.
That's what I'm looking for. That's the stuff I'm looking for. Who all played that show with you?
Everyone is Davo, Greg, Paul, Joey, myself.
Did you have any opening acts? Or were you the opening act?
I think we were the opening act, I think so. And then I think the second show is when we opened for fastball. For fastball. And then we started headlining. Yeah.
Do you know who you opened for on that very first show at the Safari Club?
I don't remember. I don't know if I even got a flag for it. I know it wasn't all ages. I don't think it was.
And at this point, did Sean Cran have the Safari Club?
No, he didn't. Sean Cran didn't have that until later on. This would be the Tony Safari. Yeah, so punk rock was new to Safari Club.
The 1996 demo, which is the only one that I believe is on Spotify that David
Good.
got up there. Talk about the recording of that and where it all took place.
We decided to record it at the Junior's Farm, I believe, in Fort Dodge.
Junior's Motel.
Junior's Motel. And we went up the night before, so we'd be all rested up. And we got there, we got hotel rooms. And we got 2 motel rooms because I had a girlfriend and she drove all our shit up there. So we all stayed the night. We woke up late, so we were late to the recording. And we're all tired, of course. I remember in Junior's Motel, I ended up playing in the where the sound guy was at, and Joey and Paul played in the studio spot, and then there was a back area where Butch played, like all to himself, back in this back recording area, and then Davo was in the little sound booth for singing, and that's how that went. And then I remember we were doing backup vocals for it, and Paul was like, they're like, all right, who wants to sing backup vocals? And nobody really said anything. Paul did, and Paul's like, hey, come on, Brian, let's sing. And I was scared. I didn't want to get my voice, even though I thought I had a beautiful voice. I didn't do any backup vocals. So it was just Davo and Paul, and Butch did too. I guess Butch did too.
Do you know much of the history of Junior's Motel?
It started off as a brothel, I think, and no, I don't know. I don't know.
You know the whole Beach Boys connection to it, or any of that?
No, I
Kirk
didn't know
Kaufman,
about that.
or the Hawks, that was the band that Kirk Kaufman's band. He also had Westminster, which was like his sort of like early '70s, late '60s psychedelic
Really?
stoner rock band.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like it's almost like Black Sabbath without the doom element to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Did Kirk Kaufman work with you guys?
No. I mean, we went in to record, and it was like, all right, go ahead, do it, we'll record. They weren't very, very helpful at all, but...
Or are you picking up the dog?
A little bit.
Wake up! Sorry.
It's all right. Because it's a haul. It's a long haul to get up there
Yeah, it is.
to Otho, Fort Dodge, Otho. I mean, why did you guys decide on
Cheap.
hotel, about Junior's Motel versus like SR Audio or whatever was down in Des Moines?
I'm assuming it was probably cheap. I'm assuming it did. Davo paid for it all, because Davo had a job and stuff back then. None of us really had a job back then. Well, Joey did, I guess, but... Yeah.
What how many days were you up there?
1. We went in the morning, or whenever we woke up, and recorded then. And Davo got the reel-to-reel, and he said, okay, we'll come back and record more over it, or something like that, which we did once, but wasn't really much at all. It was Paul and Davo and myself went back up there, but I think they did some guitar stuff. That's it.
Is any of that usable, or is the dog too loud?
The dog's not too loud. We can hear the dog, but it's not like loud.
Okay.
It sounds like an ocean wave.
Oh, that's
Okay.
beautiful.
Okay. Okay.
You just yarp at me.
Oh my God, the other dog. No, Bex was snoring and fucking everything up.
I see.
I mean, honestly, it's probably faint enough. My guess
Yeah, I
is.
think you're fine.
Yeah, if it's faint enough, there's other stuff that's gonna be playing underneath it, so we're
I
not
think it's
gonna.
gonna be
You
fine.
want me to get Bassy out of here?
No, it's okay.
He's alright.
It's nice. It's soothing. Do you want it to be louder? Or?
So you guys go up there. You're up there for one day. Can you just give me a line that's like, we went up there, got up late, we were there for one day, in and out.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
Just give me one line that the 1996 demo was recorded all in one day.
Okay, the 1996 demo was recorded all in one day. Period. Is that right? All right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So at this point, we're getting close to when like Slipknot gets signed. Like how much longer was this original incarnation playing for? For Have-Nots, that is.
Well, once they got signed, we quit pretty much because Joey and Paul had put all their time into Slipknot, which is great. They got signed, so great, good for them. Happy for them, real fucking happy for them.
Did the Have-Nots continue?
No, we didn't. Let's see, we kept losing people. Joey quit, I remember that. Joey quit, so we got another guitar player. I don't remember what his name was. Little John, we called him Little John. He played guitar for us, and then we always went through drummers, so either Butch would move, so we'd get some drummer that they'd put on me to take care of, and it's hard finding drummers. Joey drummed for us a few times. Yeah, I remember one show we did, we had a new drummer come play with us, but then Joey said that he was going to drum for us, so it was kind of a big mix-up, and Paul was all pissed off and at the new drummer, not Joey. But yeah, Joey's a good drummer.
So did you guys attempt to keep the band going after Paul and Joey had to quit?
No.
Or even tried to get fill-ins or whatever? It was just like not the same?
It wasn't the same, and David would say, oh, it was just too much work and blah, 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 blah. Maybe it was. I mean, I was going down a different road kind of too. I mean, I still wanted to play, but I put cooking, being a chef first, which helped everyone out in the long run because all the bands would come stay with me, and Slipknot would come and eat food after hours, of course. And if you look up on those pictures I got on the computer, read the comments, you'll read a lot of stuff like, oh, was that in Dubay? They said hook us up with food and drinks. How much they loved it, and it was a good time.
When did you go into? Obviously you were a chef, but like when did you? Because you opened up the Continental with your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you kind of like? Is this about when you let go of music to just focus on restaurants?
No, I think we quit playing, and then I was I think we only played one show when I became a chef at Simos Cafistro. We only played one show and then we were done. Yeah.
Well, during that time when you guys had the Have-Nots and you guys were performing, Slipknot's happening, what was going on with the Des Moines scene? Was it kind of blowing up? Was it like on the up and up with all these bands that were happening?
It's hard to say. I mean, if there was like any like underground music thing, it was underground, you know. Everyone had like little bands going here and there. I don't know. The only way you got like known, I guess, was if you played out or played shows at someone's house. That's the only way you get found out. Yeah.
The interview we had the other day was really interesting. They talked about, Seattle had just happened with the grunge scene, and Nirvana happened. Who all came out of that era, like the Sub Pop era? Earth, I know Earth. Dylan Carlson's band.
fucking band.
Well,
No, I can't remember.
The reason why I'm bringing it up,
Hey, Christian,
what?
go pet the dog for a minute. Give him a little nudge.
Let's give him a poke.
Just give him a little nudge.
Hey, buddy.
He's getting into REM sleep there. Let's wake him
Aw,
up
buddy.
a little bit.
Baxter, get the fuck up! I can send him into the other room and
He's
put him
so
in timeout.
happy. He's so happy.
He was happy.
Until now. Okay.
I don't know if that did anything.
No.
Let's see.
Did you get the stomach tapping on Sam?
Yeah, I did.
Baxter, come play. Come on. Get the ball. Come on.
No.
Someone's here.
He's so now he's quiet now. He's not deeply
For now, you know.
deeply relaxed any longer. I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, so Seattle just happened, and the idea was when Slipknot got signed this month that Iowa could be another, or Des Moines could be another Seattle. You know, there would be more bands that we'd be looking at because Slipknot was so big that there could be some other music coming out of Des Moines at that time. But it didn't happen. It was basically Slipknot happened, and then the spotlight was kind of off of Iowa.
I think Slipknot happened just because they got Sophia John. Sophia John is the reason why Slipknot got big. Yeah.
Let's talk about Sophia John.
Okay. She's a woman. She was a radio DJ in Des Moines, but now she moved to Omaha, where she continues to be a radio DJ. She pretty much sort of guided Slipknot in what they need to do and what they need to do to get signed. She's the one that suggested getting Corey Taylor, and I think Mick too. They got a new guitar player. She just played him on the radio constantly, and got the Slipknot name out there. But without Sophia John, Slipknot would not have done shit. They owe her a lot, and I don't think they paid her any respect for what she did for them.
Did Sophia John enter this world on her own, or did someone bring her in?
Oh, she had parents. She had a mother and father.
Well,
It's true. It's a fact. She's a super nice lady too. We were having one of my food sessions after a bar one night. Sophia was there, and she's like, Brian, what the fuck are you doing? You know how much money this food costs? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Which I should have worried about it, but I didn't. Yeah.
you don't remember what radio station she was connected with?
I don't.
107.5.
It was 107.5.
The Dot.
The Dot.
Give me that as a line.
What? She worked for 107.5. The Dot. Dot.
And was it a rock station or what?
It was a rock station.
Okay, and this is pre-laser.
Yes. We didn't have the technology yet for lasers, so we said Dot.
So did I've heard one story that Sean Cran reached out to her and brought her in, but did she just find Slipknot on her own?
No, I think, yeah, probably Sean did, I guess. But I thought Sophia John was better friends with Davo, I thought, than Sean. But I don't know.
How did you first meet Sophia John?
I never have. I was kidding. I met her through Davo. I met her at one of my after-hour parties, and yeah. And then she disappeared because she moved to Omaha. But then she came back one time with this chick that had this most gorgeous eyes. She was a singer of Sean's other band, Twisted Rabbits, or
Dirty Little Rabbit.
Dirty Little Rabbits. Yeah. I don't remember what her name was, but she mystifying eyes. I met her with Sophia John at this bar downtown, which a band was playing. I don't remember who was playing.
Do you remember the bar name?
No. Damn it. No, I can't think of it. It's downtown.
So how did she approach Slipknot?
Tippy toe, kind of watching her step. I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, can you talk about how, like, what she did to change the band in order to get them noticed?
I I think she suggested they get new guitar players, and she definitely suggested that they get a new singer. Which, yeah. I mean, and she could have picked anybody besides Corey, but whatever.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think she suggested they needed a new guitar? I mean,
Well,
what was
'cause
the sound change when that she
The
did?
singer they had before, which was Andy, right? Andy, he was like "Rah, rah, 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 rah," that kind of crap, where Corey's more lovely, pretty voice, you know. I guess that was a difference because you couldn't really understand the original singer because it's just grunting and rah rah rah. But if you went on the radio, it had to be more, you know, radio friendly. So, yeah.
Every record label told him the singer was the problem, and Stone Sour were the other band in Des Moines that of prominence with a good singer. But
Stone
I
Sour
interject.
sucked.
Did you want to talk about Stone Sour?
Not really. I mean, just Stone Sour just sort of jumped on the whole bandwagon, kind of like the way Corey Taylor's family is jumping on the bandwagon now. Like, oh, they're playing us, so let's have my family play too. Stupid.
So Sophia John kind of reshaped
Yes.
Slipknot. How long did that take for them to put together this new band? Because Andy actually stayed in the band and sang with Corey
Did he?
for not very long, but he did.
I bet that was good. I can't even remember that actually. I'd say it'd take like a year until they get it all, you know, fizzled out, and it's mainly just Corey. Remember when they got Mick? There was a show at Beach Girls, or the area where there's this little lake pond where people come to swim, and they had Slipknot play outside, and that's when Mick started. They said, "Oh, we're getting Mick to play," and I remember because Paul was playing, and then he was having to fight with his girlfriend who was a stripper at Beach Girls, and they were fighting outside, and yeah, it's pretty funny. Then after that show, I remember that's when Frank, our buddy Frank, got in a fight. I think Paul was there too for the fight, and Frank got his nose bit. So you can see the bite marks still on Frank's nose.
You know what that fight was over?
Taste of noses. I don't remember. I think it was about Slipknot. Like they were talking shit about Slipknot or something, and Frank and Paul were just sticking up for Slipknot. Yeah.
Do you know who Mick was playing in, what bands he was playing in prior to Slipknot?
I don't think he was, but I used to have an old business card of Mick's. He used to be at the Ye Olde Guitar Shop. He was a guitar teacher down there. And that's all. I don't think there's any bands that I know of. I know he played Little League with my brother.
Can you just, you were at that Beach Girls show.
Yeah.
Can you describe, do you remember much of that show at all? And can you describe it?
Noise. Hot. Sandy. In the back of your mind, you know, there's a strip club over there. I could just walk over there and see naked girls. But no, we're going to watch the show. I don't know. It was Slipknot music, so I don't really care.
I mean, at that point, when Mick was in the band at that point, how many, had they made all the changes at that point? It was Corey singing with them?
Yes, I believe so.
Josh Bernard was probably still playing guitar.
No, I don't think he was. That's why Mick came in, I think.
No,
Nick replaced Donnie, is my understanding.
yeah, Nick replaced Donnie. Mick replaced Donnie. Jim Root replaced
Josh after the first album.
Okay. Yeah, I thought knew Jim Root came in later and all that.
Yeah, he's not even on that first album. He's on the picture. He's not even on the cover.
He's on 2 tracks. At the end of recording, they brought on Jim Root, and there's 2 songs that Jim's on, and Josh
Okay.
is on the other 14.
Okay.
God, I wish I knew more about Slipknot.
Do you remember Atomic Opera?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would love to
Yeah.
talk because Kevin Mould talked about Atomic Opera.
Yeah, I heard that they used to play at this place in Valley Junction, this old cement factory, but I don't know if that's true or not, but we used to go there and we get run out of the cement factory by the security guards.
That is true. That is where it took place.
Did it really?
Yeah. He talked about that in his interview. I need you to say their name, Atomic Opera, and
Atomic Opera.
can you say that you saw Atomic Opera at this cement factory?
No, I cannot say that. Because I never did. I never saw them there.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I heard that they practiced there, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Can you just say that you heard Atomic Opera was practicing at an old cement factory?
I heard that Atomic Opera was playing at an old cement factory in Valley Junction.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. I also heard there was found a body at the old cement factory, but I don't know if that's true or not either.
Did you ever see Atomic Opera or hear them?
I heard of them. I never saw them. I don't know if they really played out that much. They must have played out, but yeah.
I mean, what Kevin Mull described them as, like, that was the band that, like, Des Moines didn't deserve.
Why didn't it deserve it?
Because they were just, like, way ahead of their time.
Oh, really?
Way ahead of their time. Almost like prog metal, I guess.
Oh.
I know, you don't like that.
No. Did you do that burp? You kind of throw people out?
Okay. So, do you remember the day that they got signed?
Yeah, where they signed it, the Axiom, which when it was down in the East Village. And Davo had a little card table set up, and they all had their masks on, and they signed the papers. And the funny thing about that is, behind the Axiom was the back alleyway, which was the back of the Continental, the restaurant that I opened. And they had Butch get naked and put a cage over his head and put his junk between his legs, and they took a photo of it, which is on the first album, I think, of Slipknot, on the inside of the CD, I think.
The Make Feed Kill Repeat CD.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, he's a Slipknot expert. And that was behind the Continental, which is behind the Axiom.
Who told you that this deal was going down?
Actually, I didn't know the deal was going down until I saw a picture of them signing it in the paper. I think it was a picture of Mick signing it with his mask on the card table, which Dave holds online for a bunch of money. Oh, and the card table that Slipknot signed there. I almost bought it and didn't buy it. We might look for stuff that Slipknot may have touched or something like that. It might be able to sell online, but I ran out of stuff.
Well, so you heard after the fact. I mean, you didn't hear any rumors that they were talking to labels or anything like that, did you?
Yeah. One time, a record label stayed at my house. It was after all these bands played at Safari Club, and they all came back to my house to stay. And then just so happened that the record label guy was staying that night too. I don't remember the name of it, but they had a T-shirt that I got, and it was red, and it had a sickle and hammer on it, like a Soviet thing. That was a record label. I don't remember what the name was.
So he was like an A&R rep?
I don't know.
Okay.
He was a music label guy. I know Dave had him stay there, and I got a T-shirt out of it.
Was this probably for the showcase that they did over at the Safari Club?
Could be. Could be. I mean, I follow Slipknot, like, very much, a lot. I don't know.
So do you remember, do you remember when you saw in the paper, was it City View or was it the Register?
It was a Register.
Do you remember opening it up and looking at it and how what was going through your head when you were reading this?
Well, I was like, ow, because I got a paper cut, and I'm like, ow. And I kept reading, and actually, I don't think I read it. I just saw the picture, and I saw Mick signing it on the card table. Actually, it could have been Mick, and then Slipknot was behind him at the card table. I wonder who owns that card table now. What are they doing with that card table? Are they using it for cards, or are they using it for paying the sign? Line.
I mean, how'd you feel about it? I mean, how'd you feel like that two of your buddies?
At first, I was like, fuck. Damn it. Why did they get signed? Metal sucks. But now I'm happy for them. Yeah, I don't know.
So did you? What type of conversation did you guys have? Like, you read that article. This is like a huge deal for them. How did you guys interact the next time you saw them? Did you guys talk about it? Did you ask them questions?
We asked for autographs, of course. I remember running into Joey at, I think it was, I don't know if it's called Safari Club then, but it was definitely at the place on University. Ran into Joey, I'm like, hey Joey, let me buy you a drink. She's like, I don't drink. I'm like, let me buy you a pop. You know, just to congratulate him on getting signed. but that's all really that happened. Me and Joey didn't really talk that much. I don't know if he just didn't like me or.
He was sober.
Yeah,
He was straight edge.
Definitely.
How did
Sure
you
wouldn't like me.
How did you learn? I mean, how did you learn that he was straight edge? You remember the day that did you offer him a beer? Did you offer?
I probably was going to offer him something, and someone said, "Hey, straight edge, don't do that," because drugs and shit.
Because he was always like the way I think Kevin described him as like the Velociraptor in Jurassic Park. Like he was so focused on whatever he was doing.
Yeah, he was. One thing about Joey, he introduced me to Gigi Allen, which really surprised the hell out of me. We watched a video on Gigi Allen, and I think that was Christmas. It was Christmas, and we were having band practice, but we didn't really have band practice, so we ended up watching movies. We ended up watching Brain Candy by Kids in the Hall, which we all loved. And then we watched Gigi Allen, and we missed Christmas because of all that, and practice. But Joey and I didn't really say a whole lot, because, I don't know. He brought the term in, he's having a little Christmas with his drink. That was Joey's thing, because he didn't drink. And whenever we wanted to drink, he's like, hey, put a little Christmas in that. Which meant alcohol or whatever. Not really festive.
When they
Let me
signed,
stop you right there. There's coffee and peanuts over here, guys. Okay, go ahead.
when so they get signed, they go on their first world tour. Is right after Ozfest, unless Ozfest was that world tour.
No.
No, it was after the
That
Ozfest.
was their first major exposure. The first time they traveled, anything like that was Ozfest on the second stage. Yeah.
Why are we interviewing you?
Sorry. I'm just helping
Don't be
prod
sorry.
his brain.
There's peanuts over here.
Did you follow them after they started to move into like that national spotlight?
I'd follow them anywhere. I know, okay, one time Paul came back and said, hey, Brian, I almost got you a job doing food for Slipknot on the tour, which would be doing food for everyone, all the bands. Then Paul said I probably wouldn't like it because I was kind of a stickler on food and shit. So I didn't get that. Didn't do that.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. A lot of people that were close to them at this time before Slipknot, once they signed that deal and they all started to do their thing, a lot of people started to kind of like back away, or everyone else's life moved on. So it's sort of like that was happening for them, and everyone else was kind of figuring, okay, now what do we do? And it's either like we have a career or we do something else or whatever. So to not have been connected with them at that point isn't unusual, but if there was interactions, I would love to hear those, hear those stories as things progressed for them. Did they come to the Continental? Did they ever come back home and see you for the holidays or anything like that?
We'd see him every once in a while when they came back to town. We'd see him. Paul came in with his wife, or soon-to-be wife, at my restaurant Dubay's. Yeah. I don't know.
Do you remember when that was when he brought Brenna home? Around 90 or 2005, 2005.
Okay. God, you can tell me if he likes jam on his toast or not. I'm just kidding you, man. That sucks. How did you guys get that? That's what was the question?
Do you remember when Paul came home and he brought Brenna with him the first time for the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, I remember him when he came back to my restaurant. I remember that.
And the reason why, because so in 1999, this is where he got his injury. He jumped off an amp, fucked up. It was his foot or knee?
Knee.
His knee, but he didn't get surgery or anything, which started the pill addiction, because it was basically trying to kill the pain of the knee. He didn't want to go get surgery because they were on a world tour, and it sort of started to go downhill. By the time they got to their third album and they were recording in the Houdini mansion, it was like heroin and to try to kill the pain. He didn't have surgery on that knee until 2009.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know he did heroin. That's cool. No, when he came back to Dubé's, I remember Dave was saying, don't give him anything, which I didn't have anything. But he asked me if I could give him some drugs for some reason.
Hold
Don't
on.
tell his wife. Oh, is that your guys' phone? Oh, sure. Guys. You guys don't bring your phone in here and do that shit.
Do you want to
That's
give him a
cool.
hand,
I'll give it
Christian,
to him.
to grab his phone?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Oh, I got it.
He's got it.
Thank God. Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
You're good.
You're fine.
Oh, my mic fell down for good. Okay. Can you still record on my stomach?
Okay. So, yeah, let's talk about this because we do. I mean, it's kind of open knowledge now with a story that we know that he was using when he after he had said that he wasn't. So, can you kind of go into this, and what was he asking for, and what was your reaction to him asking for these things?
One, I was really surprised because
Hey,
Paul.
Christian, we need to move the mic back up.
Oh,
God damn it.
where did it go? Did it fall or did it?
Yeah, it ran down when I moved.
Okay.
You guys wouldn't grab my phone for me, so I did it. I can't find it now.
And Brian, humor me because I want you to be a star. Use as descriptive of terminology, like say Paul this, Paul that. Not him, if at all, because I want to get you on camera, on the screen.
Did I mention I do puppet shows?
Do you need more tape?
Yeah, please.
Where's that case? There it is.
If you want to play Pinhead in the next Hellraiser, we gotta get
I
you.
could not do that. That would be just the role of a lifetime. You got this?
That's all right. So let's put this. Yeah, we'll just put this over it.
Sorry,
All right.
I got MS, by the way.
Oh yeah. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, it's a fact. That means minor stroke or major scrotum.
Here, I'll get your phone for you. Do you want to just answer it real quick?
No, just take a message, would you?
Sure.
Yeah. That's a text message.
Oh, thank you.
How's that?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about. Did you hear from Paul during the recording of those first 3 albums at all?
No, I did not. I didn't know where he was at or anything was happening. I had no idea.
So can you say that it had been a few years? I just want people to know that you didn't hear from Paul. So I didn't hear from Paul until about 2005 when he showed up at Dubé's.
Yes, I didn't hear from him for years, and then he showed up at Dubé's.
Can you say I didn't hear from Paul for several years until he showed up at Dubé's in
Wait,
2005?
slowly. I did not hear from Paul until 2005 when he showed up at Dubé's line.
That was, I mean, that yes. If you can say that in a
Yeah.
more natural.
Oh, I'm not an actor. I didn't hear from Paul. I didn't hear from Paul for years. He just disappeared out of my life until he showed up at my restaurant in 2005, and he was looking for drugs. He was with his wife, but he didn't want his wife to know anything about it. And it was weird. I remember Joey Hollywood and one of our other friends showed up there at the restaurant, and they were doing drugs down in the basement. So I gave him a safe place to do it. I'm like, hey, come down here, you can do it in the bathroom. And then Paul came to me and asked me if I could hook him up with anything, and I didn't. I didn't have anything. I said, how about try the prime rib?
That's
Yeah.
the type of stuff we can use, Brian.
That's the stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff we need. Is that you're saying his name? You're describing everyone that was there. What was he asking for?
Like a medium rare, like a, and anything. He was asking for anything, and
Say that one more time.
he was asking for anything. Like he was looking for some sort of drug, and I hadn't seen Paul for years, so I didn't know. This was all weird to me because Paul was never asking for drugs, which was weird. And now he's asking for them. And, yeah.
He just was looking for anything. Was it? Was he
Yeah.
looking for something to numb? Was he looking for something to stay awake? Was he?
I don't know. He just didn't want his wife to know about it. I know that. And David told me ahead of time before Paul came in that Paul was coming in and that not to give him any drugs or anything like that. And that's when I brought the special of the night, which was a nice alburo, which is pasta. Sorry. No, so that all happened and it all surprised me. And I remember talking to Paul later after all that, and he was trying to tell me that he had the best food in the world, which I doubt, but he says Brazilian. And so he's sharing food stuff with me. Yeah, not drug stuff, just food stuff.
Why, when you told him no, what was his reaction to you?
What? That was his reaction. Or maybe it was, David, what? Or maybe it was, what? No, he didn't believe me at first, but I had nothing to give him.
Were you clean at that point?
Well, I had blood on me from the prime rib and the steak. But yeah. I smoke pot. I'm still looking forward to trying heroin, but I haven't done that yet.
Is your phone going off again?
Does the
No.
phone turn off so we don't have
Close
it
my
happen in your really good part? When you're really telling us the goods?
I'm not going to get naked.
The master clears phasing yourself.
Probably want to find out about the
Yeah,
street
sure.
and trajectory too. You know all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We're getting.
No, I know. I'm not saying you won't. Tell you one thing, you've stayed in focus the whole time, staying
I'm good
still.
at that.
So you're really good at that.
That's what my mom would always say. Brian's good at staying focused.
Now we just need you to stay focused on the answers, Brian. I just
I'm
joke.
trying to shut it off. I don't even remember the question.
No, I know.
My phone shut off.
Cool. One thing at a time.
So,
Sorry.
so Dave gave you a heads up on this. So Dave knew that there were some problems.
I guess so, yeah. Dave wasn't hooking him up with any drugs because Dave didn't do drugs.
You know, actually, I would love to actually get a shot without you answering questions of you just lighting up the cigarette. So I just want to like let you. If you're gonna light up, I want to let it happen here.
Is this gonna be one of those things don't smoke thing for kids?
No, it'll look
No,
it'll
it's
look cool.
it's to encourage kids to smoke.
Yeah.
There we go, yeah.
I'm gonna make sure if you can get it up and like. Oh, you need help?
No, I'm good.
Here. When you light it, bring it up here so we can see you light it.
Smooth.
So, did Dave call you and have a conversation with you about it,
No.
or how did you know that he was coming in?
Davo, I gave Davo a job being my bar manager. Stupidly, because like I said, Davo's always been like a idol to me, so I thought, all right, great. I'll hire Davo to be my bar manager, which he knew nothing about being a bar manager, but he learned. And that's how I knew. Dave and I talked all the time, and Paul probably came in because Davo was working there. Not because I owned the place, just because Paul or Davo was working there.
So he knew Paul was coming.
Yeah.
Did someone else tip him off that he was looking for something?
No, I don't know.
Because he wouldn't ask Davo for drugs. He knew
No, he wouldn't ask Davo for drugs. But Davo and him were friends, and so they keep in touch. I think Davo even went to a show of theirs. I know Davo had to get their tattoo for loss of bet or something like that, but I secretly think Davo liked their music. I don't think he did. But he got a tattoo of Slipknot.
So he gave you the heads up that he was coming in. So you knew what was going on. Did he even tell you like, hey, he's gonna come in looking for drugs, don't give it to him? Did you ask him like, yeah, what's going on, or what's like, is there something going on with him?
I don't know if he did. He may have, because Davo and I talked, but him and Paul talked. I think maybe he knew something about Paul's drug habit, maybe, and Davo didn't want him to be doing drugs. So he's like, hey, don't help Paul out at all, as far as drugs go. Yeah.
Do you know if he, even though you told him no, did he eventually find some while he was there?
Not in my restaurant. He didn't.
But did he find? Do you know if he found them from somebody else?
He must have, I guess.
Do you remember when the band had an intervention on him?
No.
You know?
They did?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened there?
He spent $1 million and went to rehab and kind of blew it off.
I didn't see a penny of that money. Not a penny.
Joey at this time is starting to kind of get off the wagon. You know, Joey was straight edge and no drinking or anything.
Right, that's what I thought.
But around this third album, you know, he started pouring vodka in water bottles and he'd drink that all day.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow.
Did you know? Were you much in touch with Joey around this time? At all?
No, not really. No.
Not at all.
No, I mean, yeah. Other than music, no.
Keep pushing, go give Baxter a little pet.
Goddamn dog. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's such a happy guy.
He
Yeah,
was
but-
a happy guy.
He's about to be awake.
Just to slap him.
He's like, don't ever invite this annoying man over again. And every time I fall asleep,
Just
he
yank
comes
his
over and pats
testicles.
me.
Just kidding, his balls been cut off a long time ago.
Oh, buddy, come on.
Baxter, wake up, go play. Frolic. That's what pups are supposed to do, right?
Is that helping at all?
Yeah, he's good.
Just-
Watch
okay.
your step, hon.
Okay. Okay.
Baxter, go get a ball or something.
What if I change my keys around?
Yeah, your keys.
Oh, he just looks annoyed.
Baxter, your Uncle Felix is here. He does have an Uncle Felix, but
Oh.
I mean, did you have any interaction with Paul or anything after that, or we're not that far along. I mean, we're not that far away from when he died.
right. I remember I found out he died when I was living in Wisconsin. I found out from a stripper because I was working at a strip club, and I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Did you call anybody?
Well, I used to call my mom and stuff like that happens. Like, Mom, I really need to get through this. Talk me through it. So,
Did you call Davo when you found out that Paul had died?
I think I did, yeah.
Can you say that I called Davo?
I called Davo to see if it was true or not, and it was true. I couldn't believe it. Didn't it happen at a hotel in Windsor Heights or West Des Moines?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What was he thinking at that time? What was his mood?
We're starting to find out, we think.
Yeah, it's surprising to me. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, God damn it, where was I?
Did you come home for the funeral?
No, I did not. I did not want to go to that because it'd been just like a circus of people like, oh, he was a friend of mine, blah, 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 blah. Which you still see on Facebook today. It's like people like, oh, I remember me and Paul would do this kind of crap. It's just complete bullshit because Paul didn't like the heavy metal people. Oh, God, okay. There was a group of people here in Des Moines. Rob Ogg, super good guy, great guy. He's dead now, unfortunately. He died, but he was a super great guy. Good for the music scene. He's always been in bands, always followed the music scene. You'll see pictures, if you look at the pictures, there's a picture of Rob, like, making some face or something like that to Davo, and Davo's singing, and he's up front. And, but Paul didn't like any of those guys, but then all of a sudden, bam, he likes those guys now. But he totally didn't like those guys at all. I remember having to talk Davo into getting these guys a show during one of our shows, and Davo didn't want to do it because it was that group of people, but he did anyway. But now they're all friends. Like, Paul loves those guys, and Davo loves those guys. But they hated those guys back in the day. They only knew those guys because of me. They would come over to my house and play in the basement. And, yeah.
Rob Ogg was, I mean, obviously the Skin of Earth was like his longest running band.
Yeah, he's been in lots of bands though. When he died, I think he was in 4 other bands. He played, opened up for Vanilla Ice downtown one year. But no, Rob was a great fucking guy, great musician. Except I went to his house once and he wanted me to hear some of the stuff he's recording, which was really weird, not really cool at all.
Was he also in Hunger Pains?
Yeah, in Hunger Pains.
Do you remember? I mean, are you able to? I'm trying to figure out ways to because I mean, I know you don't like Skin of Earth. I love Skin of Earth.
No, they're
they
good.
Were,
Skin of Earth's good.
they were. I really enjoyed them, and I don't mind Hunger Pains either. Can you just let's talk about Rob Ogg for a minute?
Yeah,
you
Rob
know,
Ogg.
I didn't get to know him personally.
It's too bad.
I know. I really wish I did. We were always like kind of like 6 degrees from each other. Like I'd be in a room and I'd be at 6 o'clock. He'd be at 1
Oh, I thought you were
o'clock.
talking about some Japanese. You're talking about some Japanese boy band or something
No,
like that.
no,
6
no.
degrees.
Let's talk about Rob Ogg and his importance to this scene because he was like a guy who I felt like could have gone to that next level.
I think so too. I really think so. Rob was a great guy. He's always starting music band or bands with other people. Last band he started, I think, was a 3-piece with Mike Claybaugh.
Oh, is that Mike
I'm
coming
starting
on?
to rub a little.
Oh, okay.
on my
Just pull that shirt out just a hair.
Pull the hair out of my shirt.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. How's that?
There you go.
Very
Yep.
good. Okay. All right. Let's start with Rob Ogg.
Okay.
And go.
All right. Rob Ogg, super great guy. Only thing I'd say that he used to be part of this clique of people. He always hung out at the Bug House, which I never been to the Bug House, but I knew all the guys. They were all cool guys. They liked me apparently, but they didn't. They liked Davo, but Davo didn't like them. Paul didn't like them, but then all of a sudden, after 2000s, Paul liked them all and Davo liked them all. But Rob Ogg, great. I can't remember the last band he was in, but it was with Michael Claybaugh and this other drummer, and they're pretty cool. Rob played the bass for this band, but he usually played guitar. Damn it. Last time I saw him play was at the Yacht Club on Ingersoll, which is a hippie coke bar, a bunch of hippies that do coke. Baxter!
He's okay.
Talk about let's describe some of his bands. Like Hunger Pains was like that was pretty old school for them. That was 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah. They were not so much into like I guess they were into metal, but they were, I don't know, kind of cool underground garage type music.
Did you ever see Hunger Pains play?
Yeah. I did, but they're good. Their album was good. But I don't know, I thought their music was kind of boring. But
I mean, one of the things you've consistently talked about was you talk about the Des Moines metal scene, the punk scene, how cliquey it was.
yeah.
Was that pretty consistent? Can you talk about like describing the Des Moines scene to me?
I wish I could, but it's just so weird, I guess. We had a whole, I don't know, everyone did their own thing. They played what they wanted to play, and that's that. I don't know. I wouldn't have gotten into music if it wasn't for Davo. Davo was a good organizer, and he like organized all these people from different little cliques and put them together and got stuff done. Yeah, Davo's not a musician though.
Would you see Dave as more of an orchestrator?
Yes. He organized things and brought people together and got stuff done. Until he just didn't care anymore, and then
Could you say Davo was more of an orchestrator than he was a musician?
he was more of an orchestrator than a musician. He couldn't play any music instruments.
Or how about this? He's more of the puppet master than he was the musician.
Yeah, he was more of a puppet master. Even though I can do better puppet shows, but for kids.
Paul dies, and you said you heard from a stripper when you were living in Wisconsin, and he didn't come back for the funeral. I'm gonna wait for this plane to go over us, but or helicopter.
Baxter, wake up! There's a plane.
But did you ever going through your head? He died of an overdose. Did you think back to that day that he was looking for drugs? at all?
Yeah, I did. I looked back. I thought. I felt. I wept. I didn't really weep. Jesus Christ wept.
How did you? Did you have any type of
That's a lens cap. That's not an ashtray.
Yeah, that is a little sorry.
Sorry about that.
Aside from talking to Davo about it, did you have any did you did we see this coming? Did we know this was coming? Were you surprised?
I was surprised. I just didn't see, especially at the intervention, I didn't see Paul doing stuff like that. I wish I would have known, but
Did let's fast forward. I want to kind of talk more about Joey and Joey's death since it's pretty fresh for people. I know.
what did he die of?
That's very speculative.
Is that what this whole thing's about?
No, no. That's
I didn't do it.
No.
The 911 call references heavy alcohol uses, so I mean that's public knowledge. But I don't think there's been autopsy public or anything, and our goal isn't to like uncover hidden, but it would seem to be alcohol related.
I mean, he basically drank himself to death. So he had his. Tell me the disease again.
Some
Alcoholism?
spine. No, he had a spine neurological disease that the band confused as drug use, and there wasn't good communication. And Joey tried to hide it because he didn't want them to think he was going to be unable to play.